Hi, this is Lael Kankar. I want to share with you 2 exclusive new foam sheets from Scrapbook.com. They come in 2 different sizes. This is your standard A2 card size, so 4.25 by 5.5, and then the larger size, which is 6 by 8.5. So this is perfect. You can add a little bit of dimension to your standard cards, but this one, you guys, is sized to fit into most standard die cutting machines, which means you don't have to cut. So let's take a look at a couple things about those. Each of those packages, and these are sold separately, include 5 sheets. So you have 5 sheets to work with. They are acid and lignin free. They have adhesive on both sides. It's super easy to remove the adhesive. So let's take a look at some things to do with those foam sheets. The first thing I want to show you, as I was kind of playing around with the foam sheets, a lot of times we like to use foam sheets or foam tape, foam rolls, to add dimension to a card. And so I started playing a little bit, and I played first with some of the foam rolls from Scrapbook.com, the 1/4, the 1, and the 1. And initially this was going to be my card base. But you know what I found out after I pulled those off? Once I put that down on my card, I have some empty space that is not popped up, right? So as I started working with this and it kind of got shuffled around on my desk and things, I ended up with some valleys right here. So not necessarily bad until I go to send this card to my grandma. And if I go to send this card to my grandma and it goes through the roller at the post office, then when she gets it, it has all these ripples in it. So the solution to that is this first foam sheet. Again, that's the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it is sized perfectly to fit on top of that standard card. So I can adhere that right to my card, and then my card base is popped, but then I'm not going to have those kind of funny rolls. So actually what I did there, I started with my card base, but I wanted to show you that you could also cut these down. So great to have that standard size, but if I want to use a little bit of a smaller piece, I can also use my nonstick scissors to cut that down. So here I'm just going to take that 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 sheet that I have cut down a little bit, and I adhere a piece of scrapbook paper and peel that off. And that goes right in the center of my card. Now I have a flat surface that's all popped, but when that does go through the mail, it's going to maintain that dimension. It's not going to get all wonky on me. All right, so that's the first thing. Really helpful to know as you're working with those foam sheets. The next technique I want to show you, you guys, this is such a fun technique. So I've started a layout here, and in the market, lots of us, collect lots of different scrapbook products. There are glittered foam stickers that have letters on them and also have words. But sometimes when you buy those, they don't necessarily say the exact word that you want, or it's not the right color glitter. So I'm using these foam sheets to make my own foam glitter words. And that's what I've done with this fun title right there. Okay, so now we're going to cut our word. What I need to do though is I'm actually going to cut this twice. The reason I'm going to cut it twice is I'm starting with some glitter paper, and it's pretty thick. So I want to cut this first, and then I will cut the word again on the foam, and then I will stick the 2 together. Because they're both so thick together, if I try to run them 2 together, it might not work. So we're going to put our foam sheet down. We're going to put our die down, and I'm just going to roll that through. And it cuts so well. Look at that. There's my little word that says magic. All right, so now that I've cut the word out of the foam sheet, now I need to cut the word out of the glitter paper. So we're going to do that same thing, lay our die down, put our plate on top, and roll that right on through. All right, so now that I have both my word cut out of the glitter paper and the word cut out of the foam, I need to adhere those 2 together. Trial and error, you guys, I'm going to give you a little tip. It is much, much, much easier to first adhere the foam word to your project and then adhere the top layer. Because I've cut a pretty thin word here with my die, as I start to remove the backing, it can tend to take a shape of its own. So if I start to, play with that a little bit, some of the letters will end up maybe not being in the exact position as when I cut them. So by first adhering that, and actually that's pretty cute as it is. If I wanted a tone on tone, I could just leave that as is. Now that I've pulled off the backing, I'm just going to take my die cut word and I will adhere that directly on top. And there we go. Isn't that fun and magic? You just get such a great lifted title and accent, and you get that exactly the way you want it. You get the words the way you want them. You get the exact glitter color the way that you want them. All right, so let's take a look at the next technique. Next, we're going to use that 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 foam sheet to make a shaker card. So really fun, cute, and super easy to do. Again, we're going to need to do 2 passes, and I will explain why we need to do two passes. The first pass I need to do is with my die on the foam, because once I do that, I need to add a clear transparency on top of that so that I'll be able to create a little window for the shaker. So let's go ahead and roll that through. And there we go. Now what's nice, I have also created a shape. So I've created a circle. I can then adhere or cut another circle, and then I have foam circles that are patterned that I can now work with. While we're talking circles, one quick thing that I want to show you, I have cut a smaller circle here with the die. So I'm going to take the foam strips and I am going to mold them to fit on my little circle here. So these little foam strips, little teeny things, we'll just cut a little piece here, and they are moldable or bendable. So basically I can take that on my circle and start working it around that shape. Now I could do this if I have a heart, I could do this with any shape, but those are fun to work with because they are moldable like that. And then that way I have my little circle that in this case is going to have my little foam right where it needs to be. All right, so let's get back to our shaker card now. So I have cut the base of the top that's going to go on my card. So next I am going to take my pre-cut piece of clear acetate, my toner sheet, my clear toner sheet, and I need to adhere that to the top of my piece that I've cut here. So I'm going to create the window for my shaker card. So that's going to go right there. We're good. Okay, so now I am going to take my cover. It's going to go on here, and I need to cut that. So we'll go back to our circle die. Now I am adhering my circle die to the paper. And here's a little tip. If I use this as a little window, then I know exactly where I want to place that die. Put our plate on top, and let's go ahead and run that through. All right, so now that I have that base created, I'm going to just sprinkle in a few little pink sequins, and then I will take off that top layer. Just peel that back off. All right, now I have my card base, and it is going to go right to the top of that. All right, so now that I've adhered that to my card base, I need to come back and adhere my top layer. Because I have the clear acetate sheet on top of there, it's no longer sticky. So I just need to add a little bit of adhesive to my piece. And we'll come in and adhere that right to the top. So now going back to our nice pretty sample, we have a lovely shaker card that is made possible because of that foam sheet that we used. All right, for our last technique, we are going to emboss the foam sheet. And this just gives it a really neat raised look, but it's almost raised on raised because we've embossed it. So I have cut a piece from one of the foam sheets. Again, that's kind of the nice thing about those foam sheets. You can use them as is, but you can also make them smaller if you need. Take my little backer off there, and I am going to adhere my pattern paper. Take my embossing folder and add that right to the embossing folder. And we'll run that through. You guys, this is like magic. It is so cool. when you're done with it, because you just get that embossed look, but you also get the really cool dimension with it. All right, look at that. Isn't that fun? You really get that embossed look. And if you're mailing the card, if you were just embossing regular cardstock, that emboss would tend to flatten, but you have the help from the foam sheet. All right, so it looked really cool embossed, right? It looks awesome, but we can make that kind of on steroids, make it look really, really cool. We're gonna take our little blending tool and take the hybrid ink, and I'm just going to dust the top of those circles. And it's gonna make that emboss kind of pop even more. Now, here's another tip. You have the white core, right? And there's nothing we can do about that. But what we can do to help hide it when we're done is take our little blending tool and just go ahead and blend those white edges right in. Last thing, we're going to bring in the glitter brush marker. And if you haven't seen this, go catch the video on how awesome this little tool is. But I'm just going to come in some very fine detail and paint, if you will, some of those circles with that glitter. It just makes it a little kind of shine and pop. And it's easy to do because I have those embossed edges. So when you look at the finished sample here, you have the embossed circles, and then you have them inked and also glimmered. So this is like crafting, mixed media, lots of great awesome things on steroids. Those are the foam sheets from Scrapbook.com. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video and want to see more from Scrapbook.com, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a message. Happiness is life handmade.